Welcome back to the Tiga Tactics Podcast, a show about self-defense for civilians by civilians. We discuss all things personal protection, including martial arts, combat sports, and street combatives. Our resident MANs, martial arts nerds, include co-founder of Tiga Tactics and holder of black belts in 9 different styles, Dr. Conrad Bui.
Hello, everybody.
We are missing Patrick. We are actually recording this the weekend of the Tiga Tactics Toolset Training Tour. I got all the T's.
Right?
Impressive.
Yes.
While in Maryland. And I'm your other co-host, retired Army Special Forces soldier and champion obstacle course racing athlete, Evan Ultra-OCR man Perperis. We do have a special guest. This is our first special guest. Before we get to him, though, I'm going to keep you in suspense, even though you read the title of the episode and probably already know the special guest. This episode is brought to you by Vulpes Training Products. Actually, I'm going to wait off on Vulpes because Scott was... Oh, I just said the name. I gave it away. Okay, we have a special guest, Sensei Scott Sobel. Conrad, why don't you introduce Scott to everyone?
All right. So Scott has hosted Tiga Tactics many times at his school. He's a lifetime practitioner of martial arts. I think your first art was Kempo.
Yes, sir.
Right. You even met Ed Parker.
Got to meet Ed Parker.
All right. So that voice you're hearing is Guru Scott Sobel there. And around what year was that ish? And what was that? How was that?
That would be like early 80s. I was given 3 martial arts introductory classes in martial arts to a local Kempo school and started training there. The instructor, Joe Palazzo, just passed away recently. Was a wonderful guy. So I was very interested in the program and it just took. And next thing I know, I was in Ed Parker seminar and I was a little kid staring up at this big Hawaiian guy, smacking everybody around. It was, I knew I was in it for life. So
wow. How old were you about?
12 or 13.
Did you understand like his position, his I guess his status in the martial arts?
I did. I knew that my instructor impressed me. I knew he was impressed by this guy. So as a kid, you just assumed he must be somebody important, but I did not realize the depth of the martial arts world at that time, and I probably did not appreciate it as much as I should have.
And just in case some of our listeners you're not tracking, Ed Parker, he's the father of American Kempo karate, and he brought that art over from Hawaii. And I would say he probably maybe did the biggest job of promoting Kempo in the United States. Jeff Speakman, have you seen the
Elvis Presley?
Yeah, Elvis Presley. Yeah, exactly. Those are all like lines through Ed Parker. And without Ed Parker, there might not be a Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee did a demo at Ed Parker's Long Beach tournament, and Ed Parker filmed it, and he showed it to his hairdresser, I believe, who was had connections to other people in the Hollywood world. He told his hairdresser. The hairdresser told another producer, and the producer's like, well, let me check out this guy. And they got Bruce Lee in and had him do that famous clip where you see him auditioning for a role. I think that was that clip there. And so without Ed Parker, there might not be a Bruce Lee. And then later on, you got into Taekwondo.
I was going to say the Ed Parker clip, but that's like the famous one, right? Where like he does the 1-inch punch. Right in
the Long Beach demo,
yeah. It's like the famous. It's like anytime you hear about Bruce Lee, like that's the clip that gets shown. Yeah. And then a lot of the clips, especially now on Bruce Lee, are all AI.
Oh yeah,
there's so much AI garbage out on the internet today. So the old footage is always grainy, you know. Keep going with it. Keep going with all those qualifications. We sidetracked. We haven't even introduced the sponsor.
Kempo, then Taekwondo, I believe.
Then Taekwondo, yes.
Okay, and how far did you get in there? What was your rank?
I got my black belt in Taekwondo. Started in WTF Taekwondo, switched over to ITF Taekwondo. As I was going through the Taekwondo, I got exposed to Aikido, and kind of got into that. Then later into Silat, and later into everything anybody would let me learn. So it's been a journey in trying to steal everybody's information.
Right. And today you're a what dan in Aikido?
I'm a 6th degree in Aikido.
Right, and that's high up there. So 6th degree, and he's also one of the heads of the Silat Association organization, or styles, if you will, as well too. So right now you currently teach where, and what do you teach?
I'm currently at American Muay Thai in Towson. I teach their Penchak Silat program and their Aikido program.
All right. And so let's talk a little bit about how we met and where did we meet? How did we meet? What did we end up doing together through the school and everything?
So we met in chiropractic school in 1991, 92, 91, 92. I was a transplant out to California from the East Coast, was looking to continue my martial arts training, and everything out there was very expensive for a poor starving student. And we realized we had a couple martial artists in our class, so we figured we'd start our own club and our own school. And as I was gathering a couple black belts together to help teach and run this program, someone said, "Hey, I think that guy over there has done some martial arts." And I very arrogantly approached Conrad and said, "Hey, we're starting a martial arts club. You can come and join." And Conrad kind of went, "Oh, that's interesting," and started asking me some questions about my background and my experience. And then it dawned on me perhaps I should ask about his. And he told me, and he outranked me considerably in Taekwondo. And I thought, "Oh, you could run the club. This would be great." And so we started teaching that. I was showing him Aikido. He was teaching me Jeet Kune Do. Then we'd go off to whatever neighboring schools are around, and we'd come back and share all our information. And then we had the good fortune through one of our students that was ahead of us in chiropractic school, introduced us to our Silat instructor. And the rest is pretty much history. We've just been training together ever since.
Right. And
so I'll jump in. So why did you start martial arts? Like, what was?
Like every kid, kung fu theater, Bruce Lee movies, all the same stuff.
And then same question, but what kept you? Like what? Right, because you've got so many different ranks and different systems. Like what kept you coming back?
I don't know. I just always loved it. It always seemed like a natural fit. It was always something I was interested in and fascinated with. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn more. So it was one of the first things in my life that I really wanted to do a deep dive into. I played sports casually. I did hobbies casually, but the martial arts, it just, I don't know, something in my soul that said, "Do this. This is what you do. Do a lot of it."
And then last one before I let Conrad. Conrad knows you the best, so I'm going to let him do a lot of the questioning today. Why jump around between? Because you've got to, again, we kind of start. We haven't even finished going through your background, I don't think, but you've explored and done so many systems. Why bounce around as opposed to being like, I'm just doing? Because there are plenty of guys who, Conrad has said, have done 20 years of martial arts, but it's a lot of times it's this one system, and it's this, and there's value in that to do one system and really deep dive and kind of repeat that couple of years of the journey over and over again until it's really refined.
I found through my practice and training there were some holes, and every system has strengths. Every system has a weakness or two. I was doing the Kempo and Taekwondo, and I got into a fight with a group of guys. Stupid, violated the rules of stupid. Stupid times, stupid places, stupid people. And in this group fight, I found I didn't have a reasonable solution to defending myself without seriously injuring other people. The Kempo was very effective, but it was violent. So I was looking for something with volume control. So I got into the Aikido because I had volume control. And then I realized, well, that didn't have, playing with some of the Aikido guys and Judo guys, I didn't have a lot of groundwork. All right, I need some of the Jiu-Jitsu. Didn't have the weapons. So it was filling holes and just curiosity and fascination. If someone was doing something, it looked cool, I wanted to learn it. So it must be good. So
it's like the shiny new Transformer.
Yes.
They show on the cartoon first.
No one gets one action figure and goes, I'm
satisfied.
I'm satisfied with this action figure.
It's like the G.I. Joe action figures. You got to get them all.
You got to get all of them. Yeah. Right. A new one comes out, you got to get that one too.
Right. And so, you're a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You train Muay Thai. You teach Aikido. You teach Silat. All right, let's head back to when we met, and we're going to talk about our bouncing days here. And how did you get into bouncing? What got you into bouncing? Why?
Bouncing, it was a conscious decision for me. So I had, at that point, had done a lot of years of training and had gotten in relatively few fights. I don't consider myself to be a jerk. People may argue, but I don't start fights. I'm a pretty agreeable guy generally. but I had all these skills that I'd never gotten to test.
Mm.
So they had never been pressure tested. And I thought, well, if this is a good way I can make some money. Again, starving college student seemed like a fun way, and I could probably get to try out some skills and see how that worked. So that was where the curiosity started from.
Cool. And how long did you bounce before you got me into it?
I started pretty early in school, so maybe a year and a half, maybe 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I bounced around at a couple different bars and it gotten a good reputation. So some of the bartenders, when they go to other better bars, would call me and go, hey, they're looking for a bouncer. And when they were looking for more than one bouncer, I'm like, oh, I know a guy. Wait a second. And it'd be good to have Conrad there, one, because you feel much more secure knowing you're working with someone who has your back and has a great skill set. And it's just fun hanging out with Conrad, so I thought we'd have a good time.
Right.
I
frequented the bars quite a bit, didn't I?
Yes. We had to drag him out of some of the other bars and bounce at this one. But.
All right. And so let's talk about and like what you were saying. I really like the times where we worked together the same nights. Sometimes I worked with somebody I didn't know. I was like, what kind of training did we get?
They said, we'll stand at the door here and go home when the bar closes. I think that was the whole. That was pretty much the training, maybe. I think that might be over exaggerating the training. Yeah, we got zero training.
Zero training. Yeah, just show up at this time and wear
stand
this
here.
T-shirt and stand here. Basically, that was the training.
And I asked Conrad on the bouncing episode, there's like no standard operating procedure, no like recommended courses of action. It's just
not even guidelines, not recommendations, not, hey, be violent, don't be violent. Can you do math to check the IDs? And that was pretty much, well, I mean, they paid us in cash. So the mindset was, if you did something terrible, they just gave you money and sent you away and you never worked there. There was no record of you having been there. That was kind of the mindset of the.
That's crazy.
But yeah, no, it was really, we had a wide diversity of skill sets and body types.
Oh, sure. Rico, remember
Rico,
that?
yeah. Rico, conservatively 450 pounds.
That dude was huge.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and then when you saw him run, crazy. You never thought he could run that fast.
Yeah, and he was great for blocking the door. If there was a fight, you throw people out. But he wasn't so good at getting through a crowded bar to get to. So you had different people had different. But I would say apart from me and Conrad, there weren't a lot of martial artists.
No,
there weren't a lot of trained, disciplined. Some of the guys were scrappy. Some of the guys could fight, but not necessarily what you wanted in a bouncer anyway.
Right. Yeah, you always wondered about their skill set. Like, something happened. What could they do, or what would they do?
Yeah, they were a sober version of the guy they were throwing out of the bar. They were just swinging on the guy who was swinging at them. So.
Right. All right. Well, let's talk about some of our experiences. So there was that one in the parking lot with that really big guy. Wasn't he an ex-NFL?
Ex-NFL player.
Against a few college kids. It was like a pack of wolves against that guy.
Yes.
Right. So what was your recollection of that night?
There was a drunk kid, I believe it was his 21st birthday, and was leaning on some frat boy's car. And a couple of the college kids came out, and they started giving him a hard time. And they shoved the kid, who was barely standing on his own, drunk, hit the ground, rolled under the car, and was just done. The kid had been letting this ex-NFL player stay at his place. I guess the guy was homeless or was on hard times. The football player saw that, ran over, and football blocked the guy and knocked him 3 or 4 parking spaces in the air. It was just like a charging rhino. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So then the remaining guys jumped on that guy. They weren't doing great. To the NFL guy's credit, he was hanging, holding his own.
Yeah, against what was it, 3-4 guys at least?
Yeah, at least 4 guys.
Yeah.
He had a guy and was getting ready to punch him, and I jumped on this guy's back and I grabbed his arm, and he was still, with me holding onto this guy's arm with both hands, was still punching this other kid. Like I couldn't stop. That's how big this guy was.
Dang.
And every so often, out of the corner of my eye, I would see something coming in peripheral, and I'd see Conrad snatch him up and take care of him. So we were. So a quick history on this bar. This bar was a college bar originally, right on the corner of Santa Clara's campus. Santa Clara took back the property, so the bar moved over about 3 blocks into a residential neighborhood. And as you can imagine how excited you would be to have a college bar move into your nice residential
Sorry.
neighborhood, tons of neighbor complaints. So we would have to walk around the parking lot and tell people to be quiet and keep it down, to which appropriately they would tell us to go F off, as anyone would if you tell them to be quiet in the parking lot.
Mhm.
So they didn't want police involvement. They didn't want a lot of trouble. So we had this fight. It was going on for a while.
In the
Because
parking lot.
every time we'd separate people, other people would break off, we'd break them up,
Yeah.
other people would circle around and
It was
fight.
like a pack of wolves. We would stop two, and another,
Oh, yeah.
the other two would run around us. We'd stop those two, and the other two that we let
Yeah.
go would run around us again. It was,
So there's the
Yeah.
manager, there's this little guy, Bobby, comes running out. He's like, call the cops. The cops are going to be here soon.
Yep.
And eventually everybody lost steam. But he never called the cops because they didn't want the heat on the bar. So I feel like we were out there like a good 15, 20 minutes of fighting.
good times.
Good times. Absolutely good times. Good times.
All right. So, anything to learn from that? Anything to any words of wisdom to pass on to our listeners?
It was, again, you were kind of thrown into deep waters and had to kind of figure it out. So there was a lot of real-time problem solving. And it was interesting because your job is to keep the peace, but you are not allowed to do anything more to people than any other civilian. You don't have any special powers as a bouncer. You're not deputized.
Right.
You're not licensed security. You're just a knucklehead wearing a shirt with the bar's name on it.
Right.
And if you go to court, it's going to look bad because they think you're just a bully who became a bouncer to beat up on people.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to stop people from fighting without you getting hurt, without letting them hurt each other, without letting them destroy property. So it was kind of challenging.
Right.
But awareness, just being smarter than a feisty drunk guy was really the best weapon we had. So again, mindset was the biggest thing. If you're fighting a drunk, you've already lost to some extent. If you couldn't outsmart him and you couldn't talk him into behaving better, you've already failed a little bit.
De-escalate, all that stuff.
Most of all the fights I got in were engaging people who were already fighting, generally. There was very few people who started swinging at me. So usually you could talk them down and calm them down.
All right. Yeah.
So you're a martial artist who wants, quote unquote, real world experience, and you're not interested in police or military or, you don't want to do the combat sports route, but you still want pressure testing.
Yes.
Bouncer, good idea, bad idea?
Yes.
What's your
Both,
thoughts?
all of the above. All of the above.
Right.
I would say it is a great way it depends what you're trained in. So through the Aikido and through a lot of the arts we do, I had a lot of restraint techniques. I had a lot of wrist locks. I had a lot of control holds. If I was just like a Thai boxer and you're a bouncer, if your tool set is kicking and punching, bouncing's going to get you in trouble.
Right.
So,
yes. Good thing we had the Aikido. We understood how to move a person, how to restrain a person. Exactly the tools that you want as a bouncer. Not so much the striking.
Yes. I've thrown a lot of people out of bars over all the years, and maybe I've struck one. And I actually had to throw a strike.
Really?
Very rare.
Really? What was that situation?
Sometimes you've had to kind of, it was a gentle nudge more than a strike, I should say. So,
all right. Because I never punched anyone or kicked anyone, for the record.
In case anyone wants to come back and sue.
Right.
30 years later.
That was not me.
At the original place where this bar opened, a guy and a girl came into the bar, and the girl was 21, and the guy had a bad ID. So I said, you can't come in. And he said, well, can I just go in and get my friends to come out? I said, no, because you can't come into the bar. You're underage. I said, you can stand here. You can wave to them. If you wave them over, they'll. And then he starts kind of running his mouth a little bit. And he's like, I'm like, now you guys are going to have to go. And he's like, well, my girlfriend can't stay. I'm like, no. He goes, but she's 21. And I said, well, if she stays, you're going to stay here and you're going to bother me. So you both have to go. And I said, look, the bar across the street, they don't really check IDs very well. Go there. I'll let you in.
That's a nice bouncer.
Very friendly.
Yeah,
go over there.
That's he might not be able to do math like us.
So he was right. So he's like, you're an idiot. You're dumb. He's calling me all kinds of names. He's pointing at me. I didn't care. As long as you were an arm's reach, you're not going to hurt my feelings saying anything bad. But he took his index finger and he poked me in the forehead and went, you.
Wow.
And I hit both his shoulders and spun him around and kicked him in his ass. So he went tumbling through the double doors out into the parking lot. Because he poked me in the forehead. I mean, that kind of breaks the rules a little bit.
Yeah, you don't touch each other.
And then he gets up. And I was kind of smiling like, oh, okay, now we get to try this. And his girlfriend saw me smiling, I think, and kind of grabbed him and scurried him down the street. So it didn't go any further than that. But generally, a wrist lock was enough to get people's attention. And
Yeah.
most people do not want to fight.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway.
Yeah.
Most people just don't want to be the first one to quit and look bad.
They don't even want. Okay, I don't want to fight. They're yeah.
But they don't want to fight.
But they don't want to lose face, and they don't want to
lose
fight.
face.
Right.
When I was throwing people out of bars,
Mm-hmm.
I would grab them and I'd pull them in close, and I'd say, "Look," I said, "if you want to save face, if you want to call me all kinds of names, if you want to threaten me," I said, "as long as you're walking away and leaving, I'm not gonna come after you."
Mm.
And so they walk away. You're lucky, and I go, "Oh, I'm lucky." Oh, I'd kill you. Hey, I don't want any trouble. But I said, if you stick around, then we're gonna have issues.
Yeah.
So I'd give them an out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And most of them would take that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Any specific? So you mentioned wrist locks. Any specific holds or specific types of wrist locks that you say are like your go-to techniques, or you had more success with than others?
Yes, I had my favorite one. Come up, and if I had to throw you out and approach you, I'd put my hand on your shoulder and my hand on your wrist, very gently. So I'm on your flank, and I'm touching the shoulder and wrist on that side, and I could gently guide you. But if you got squirrely, the shoulder hand went under the arm, and I'd get kind of a little gooseneck pin with the elbow against the body, and worked like a charm. People didn't see it coming. You had good control. You're on their flank, so you were safe. You didn't have to hurt them, and it got their attention. Tough guys have been punched. They've behaved poorly before. They know what it's like to get hit. But you put a wrist lock on, they think you're a wizard because suddenly they're in pain. You're not struggling. They figure that could also just escalate. So you have their attention. It's just something different.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, you have the skill set to use that. I think some people, they poo-poo wrist locks, and it just might be that they don't have the skill set to pull it off.
Yes. So
or in the right situation. They're trying to use it in a situation where I'm being aggressively punched in the head, and now I'm like,
tougher to pull it off from there. Sure.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for every technique.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about one more scenario. Sure. Our situation. I remember this one. The whole bar was fighting, including the owner of the bar.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that was crazy.
I tell the story all the time.
That was a freaking circus.
That was the biggest guy I've ever thrown out of a bar.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what was your recollection of this?
So we were working, Conrad and I were working at this bar. This was a different bar. This was a seedier bar than the previous college bar. And the owner was a very hot-headed Portuguese gentleman who was prone to fighting, which I would always reprimand him on because he owned the bar. It's a bad a good way to lose your bar.
Bad business move.
So you pay me in cash so I can go away. Don't punch people. So anyway, there's this guy, I don't want to exaggerate, 6'7", 6'8", not super heavy, but big, tall guy. And he's pushing his way through the bar and knocking people over. And I come running over. And I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "This is a friendly bar. This is a nice place. Everybody," I get him all calmed down. And he comes down like, "Come on back, just have a beer, just settle down." And, okay, and he comes shuffling back through the crowd. And he goes back to his seat. And there's a guy sitting in his seat. And the giant guy goes to the little guy sitting in his seat. "Excuse me, I think you're sitting in my seat." And the little guy looked down at the seat and went, "I don't see your fucking name on it." To which the big guy laughed and grabbed him by his back and flung him out the seat into the middle of the floor. And then they started fighting.
Oh.
So that's where Conrad and I jumped in. And the little guy had his hand wrapped up. The guy had long hair, and he had his hair wrapped up in his hair. So I had a mag light. So I whacked him on the hand, so his hand opened up, and I put him in a wrist lock. And Conrad had the other guy's arm in a wrist lock. And then so the little guy left, and Conrad and I each take this big guy, and we walk him out. And a guy comes up and says, "Hey, were you the guy that was just in there fighting?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he sucker punched him. He goes, "Well, that was my friend." And then a fight breaks out outside the bar. The owner grabs a guy and is getting ready to punch him. And I run over and I tackle the guy from the owner just to keep him from getting punched in the face by the owner. And we go flying into the landscaping. And I get him in a half Nelson. I put him up against the wall. And I gave him my speech about, "Hey, if you walk away and you da-da-da-da." He's like, "F you." And I bounced his head off the cement wall. I said, "Hey, if you walk away." And he took the walk away option. So meanwhile, fights keep breaking out. So Conrad and I grab this big guy. And there's a cab there. We throw him in the cab. and I give the cab $20. And I said, take him anywhere. I'm like, take him 3 blocks from here. Just take him away and dump him off. You can have the rest of the money. Cab drives off. Big guy's gone. Crowd calms down. Everything's under control. 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later, the cab comes screeching back around the corner, drives up 2 wheels on the curb. The big guy's in the back punching the roof of the cab, like denting the roof of the cab up. So Conrad and I jumped on either side of the back doors and we're holding the doors closed so he can't get out. And the cabbie jumps out. He's like, you haven't called the FBI or the cops or whoever you have to call. He's getting out of my cab right now. He gets out. The fight breaks out again, and we had to keep just shutting it down. But he was the biggest guy I ever threw out of a bar.
He was a big dude. And the owner, was it Joe?
Joe.
He was just punching people left and right.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
Joe punched the guy's nose to the other side of his face. I mean, he was a big guy, too. He wasn't a little...
Yeah, and then at the end of the night, Joe's like icing his knuckles and everything. It's like, why
do you even have bouncers? Why do you... Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. So that was... yes, but I frequently... And again, I felt much more comfortable throwing this guy out knowing that I had Conrad there. He would have been a handful by myself for sure. Mm-hmm. He was a big agitated guy.
Yeah. Maybe the owner thinks he's like a man of the people. You know, like if you sweep the floor, it like people are like, oh, you're doing the work of like the lower employees. He's like, let me punch these dudes in the head. So I fit in.
Punching people. He wasn't doing any kind of job for us.
He's just
punching people.
Making it
worse. Yeah.
He was just very hot tempered. He was a nice guy.
Yeah, he's nice to us.
But short-tempered, yeah. If you started with him or started a fight in his bar, he was quick to jump in.
And just punch people.
Oh, yeah. Like, you own the bar, you can't punch people.
Yeah. So any lessons to learn from that one? Anything to glean?
Again, I think started off, did everything right, de-escalated, used the words, got the guy calmed down. Situational awareness, I should have read that the little guy was going to give the big guy trouble. I should have grabbed the little guy and pulled him off the chair and let the big guy just sit back down. Big guy asked politely. He was doing everything right. We had it de-escalated. And then it's just removing players from the equation was always the hardest part in the bar. If you can get half of the parties out of the fight goes away. There was a fight at one of the bars. The band started a fight with the crowd. And it was March Madness, and there was a lot of guys up from a visiting college, and I don't know, they were talking trash to the band. Either somebody threw something to the band, or the band threw something into the crowd, and probably a 20, 30-person melee breaks out in the bar. A big palm tree inside fell and got wedged in the double doors, because normally we throw people out, doors close behind them, they're outside, it's not our problem anymore. But because the doors were wedged open with this palm tree, people kept coming in, coming out, coming in. So the fight just kept going. That was actually one of my scarier moments as a bouncer. There was a guy grabbing another guy, kneeing him in the head. And I ran over and I scooped the guy up in like a guillotine and had the guy under my arm with a good choke. Another guy came out of the bar towards me with a beer bottle in his hand. And I pointed at him. I said, put that effing beer bottle down or I'll effing kill you. And the guy shuddered a little bit, and I set the bottle down back in the crowd, and I thought, wow, I'm pretty intimidating. And then I looked. I'd completely forgotten about the guy in the guillotine who was unconscious, hanging from my arm that I'm swinging around while I'm yelling at the guy. And I thought, well, I've just committed murder. I now have to leave the country. And it's a shame. This is my last night in America. And but I propped the guy up, and he was still breathing, and just set him in the corner. But again, awareness, situational. All right, I saw the guy with the bottle and didn't get hit with the bottle, but could have strangled the guy to death because I forgot he was there because I was so hyper-focused on the guy with the bottle. And again, that was a long brawl too because there was a lot of, if you can't separate it, if you can't put out all the embers, the fires just keep popping back up.
True. All right, let's go ahead and finish it up with any tips for our listeners from your bar bouncing days, like how to avoid these problems, how to what to do at bars to not
as a patron,
as a patron, or
just in general.
In general, well, if someone comes to the door looking agitated, their night is not going to get better. You can spot you could tell who was working in a bar.
True. Yeah.
It didn't take you very long to go, that guy's going to get too drunk.
Yeah.
That guy's going to start a fight. That
Yeah,
girl's going to cheat
true.
on her boyfriend. It was like a sociological little capsule every night at the bar.
You can tell who's trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, the body language is pretty obvious. They're walking around, their chest all puffed up. They're bumping people.
So when
and
someone
right.
would come in the door walking that way, I would introduce myself. I'd get their name. Like, hey, what's your name? Hey, where you from? Just to get a little. So when there was trouble, I'd go, hey, Mike, where you? And it was disarming that you had a little connection with them. The other thing, and I will give credit to, this was not my tip. This was Freddie.
Freddie
was an older door guy that we worked with. Experienced guy. And there was a guy causing trouble, and the band was playing loud, and Freddie walked up and kind of mouthed something to him. The guy put his hand to his ear and said, what? And Freddie just mouthed something again. The guy said, what? And Freddie waved, come here. And the guy followed him outside so he could hear him, and Freddie's like, you're out. He goes, look, you can hit me. He goes, and then you never get back in. You're probably getting arrested. He goes, you can go home. You can come back tomorrow. And I thought, there was a Masashi moment right there from Freddie. So credit to Freddie for that tip.
Yeah, you can use your brain, your voice in many situations to get out a bad situation.
Again, if you're not smarter than the drunken idiot you're trying to throw out, there's a problem. You should probably find a different vocation.
Right. All right. So that's a good tip. Sometimes you just see that trouble. And if you're not working, just stay away from that person, right?
Oh, yeah. Again, when you're not in, also if you're not in the middle of it, it was surprising to me how it was not surprising when there was trouble. When you're not the drunk in the bar, you see it coming an hour ahead of time. You could watch it all unfold. And I think the reason we miss it is because situational awareness, too much to drink, caught up, but if you pay attention, the signs are pretty obvious. So easy to avoid if you see it coming.
All right. Well, thank you for being our very first special guest.
I'm honored to be a special guest.
All right. And I hope our listeners got some good advice from you, some funny stories as well, too. All right. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Once you give any parting... Well, we forgot to mention Vulpes.
Oh, yes.
Vulpes. So,
Vulpes.
Scott, you got to use some of their products today.
Got to train with some of their props today.
Do you think you could break it?
No.
It's
I do not. You could drive over it with a car.
Yeah, you can whack that on cement all day.
Weapon against weapon impact.
Yeah, not a nick on it.
No, they look like they would last forever. Good, solid construction, good real weight and feel. Really enjoy the products.
Yeah, so check the link down below. We got, if you want to check out Vulpes' full line of training products. Conrad, what do we have coming up for people for seminars, events they can attend?
All right.
Tiga Tactics, online courses that have recently launched, etc.
Right. So we officially launched our Silat course. It's well received amongst all the Silat people.
Universally,
yes. Blanket statement there. And then June, we have our June 13th and 14th. We're going to be in Conway. That's New Hampshire. Yeah. And hopefully you might see Guru Scott there in person, hopefully.
Absolutely.
And Evan will be there as well, too. So we're going to have a lot of fun. I think it's a special topic that we're going to be presenting, 2 topics as well, too. So we'll let you know what that's all about coming up here as well, too. Thursday...
We're going to drop this tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
Or possibly
more
today.
Surprise stuff.
You've got something happening Thursday.
Yeah, so Thursday I've got the Modern Ninja webinar. Me and Phil Elmore are doing a webinar. It is, if you sign up right now, you get 4 digital ebooks. Right, so Phil's going to email them to you directly. I'm going to drop that link down below. And then the webinar is essentially in 3 parts. So we're going to kind of power through in about 2.5 hours. Again, you can jump in for a little bit, or jump in for all of it, or jump in for the end, whatever, and then kind of rewatch the replays in your own time. So you get a recording of it. So the first part of the webinar, Phil's going to talk about the Banzen Shukai and the Shoninki, like the actual ninja scrolls, and kind of what he's learned from them. And then I'm going to take those lessons and kind of link them through modern special operations stuff to lessons you can apply, and then through a little bit of civilian situational awareness and civilian situational issues, whatever, right? So kind of linking the Banzen Shukai and the Shoninki to modern day, both military and civilian. And then the middle part is on flexible weapons. So we've got one of Phil's rigging hooks here that can be used as a flexible weapon. We've also got Brian's. Essentially, I keep calling them ninja balls, but that's not the right term. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm sorry, Brian.
But they're really cool.
I do love them. Yeah, but no, they're cool. They're essentially 2 monkey fists on a rope, right? So you can swing them around, and there's an actual ninja name for them, and it's escaping me at this point. So we have a flexible weapon portion in the middle, both at range, and then I've got some really like clever close range stuff that I think I'm going to show. I'm going to show Conrad. And,
looking
Scott,
forward to that.
and right after this, and then the last part is. It's essentially I tell like a little bit of my story, and then I take like major lessons learned on the combat mindset. So the combat mindset, again, I'll tell some more stories. Most of them you have not heard because we've only deep dived one on the podcast, but I'm gonna tell some more stories and then like extract like a major lesson I think you can apply to civilian self-protection.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Sounds great.
All right.
And that is all part of the Urban Warlord. Again, I'll drop that link down below if you want to learn more about Urban Warlord below. And then obviously all the links to my books are below, all that good stuff. And then come train with us in person. You don't get opportunities like this very often, so definitely try to make it out.
Yeah, July will be in San Francisco. August, the first weekend of August will also be at Dragon Fest as well too, so you can catch up with us there as well too.
Cool. All right, we will see you guys in the next episode. Any parting wisdom, Scott?
Stay safe.
Stay alert.
Stay humble.
Exactly.
See you later.
Stay kind.